Hey, what's up guys? Okay, it's been a little bit on the videos. I've just been working my way through life. A lot to do, but I'm gonna catch you up on kind of what's going on with On-Go Racing and the stuff that we're doing and the stuff that we have coming up. Also, I'm gonna do a quick little review on a little kind of welder I got. I know it's not gonna be the most in-depth review on it, and I also know there's a lot of good reviews on these welders, but this is my take on it, and it's also the easy way to set it up and just start melting metal to other metal. Because let's be honest, I'm not looking for Lamborghini welds, and you know, the average hobbyist, they just want to weld some exhaust piping and say, hey man, look, a TIG welded that and it looks kind of cool. So let's get to that. But first, I'm gonna do a quick little rundown of what's going on with On-Go Racing and update you with the stuff I've been doing and Brandon and everything. Okay, so big things have changed. I know in the last video, we kind of also did a lot of behind the scenes stuff to just make sure that we could get the drag truck to the drag strip in time. So to cover that, obviously we changed an engine. It's another 5.3, essentially just another bullet in the chamber. But in the meantime, as all that was going on, changing engines in normal life, because again, this is just a fun channel I like doing. I was working a little bit on the Fiero. I didn't videotape a lot of that. It's not that exciting to videotape. Not very much progress has happened. And not that exciting. Just making the exhaust manifold and learning how to TIG weld, which, again, I'll get over to the welder in just a second. Other things is the Impala. Everybody likes the Impala. I did that draw-through turbo kit. It ran. It actually didn't work too bad. I didn't really get a chance to drive it, but it did run. Sat, idled, ran. I kind of drove it up and down the lane a little bit. Had no brakes, so it's not like I could go very fast. But a good friend of mine, Ian, he was in kind of not a need. He wanted a kind of an old classic, something a little bit bigger, something to put the kids in and cruise around with. So I ended up selling that to him. Now, I'm not sure what he's going to do with it, if he's going to leave the turbo kit on or not. That's his decision. But it will be on the channel again, so you will see it in whatever form he decides to make it. I don't know if he's going to lower it. I don't know if he's going to... I have no idea what his plans are with it. So there's that, which I know is kind of a shocker because a lot of my content, or a lot of my views, sorry, do relate back to that kind of my first big build. So yeah, that's gone. Kind of a sad thing, but I kind of mentioned it a little bit throughout the videos. It has been gone for a while, about in a couple months. And I just needed the money to kind of invest in other things. Obviously, the drag truck has kind of been taking a lot of my priority, especially for the channel, just because it's fun, it's relatively cheap, and we get to go fast. It's a big thing for me. I did buy another 72 El Camino, which you might see some bodywork stuff on, maybe throughout the winter. It does need a roof, like a whole roof panel. It's really nice, but really rusty at the same time. Just a good, solid 30-footer. Like from 30 feet, amazing. Anyways, so I have another El Camino, because I had a 72 before that, which is an SS clone. Now I got a real SS. Also looks amazing on video. It's absolutely fantastic. That 30-footer, perfect. It's nothing fancy, 350 car, yada yada. Now to update you with Brandon, he hasn't really done too much with his truck. He did not pulley it down. He was going to do a couple things, but again, we're in Canada, so this is kind of our slow down, and it got cold, so there's not much to do. I did purchase a S10, just a 4x4, kind of a trade purchase thing. And what else? Low Gold. Low Gold is in for paint. We got a box for it, so she's gonna be all dolled up. Might see a couple sneak peeks of that. As I said, I really wanted to paint that truck. I like it. It's kind of the ultimate street truck for me. Street truck daily driver. The engine, the 6-liter engine over there, hasn't made any more progress than what you guys have seen. Heads aren't on it. Haven't decided exactly where I'm going with it. I had the stock cam in it. Now it has the LS9 cam out of the drag truck because the drag truck got a sloppy stage 2. Not sure if that was a smart move. So the LS9 might not go in it. I haven't decided. My main focus right now is just kind of cleaning up, getting ready for the winter, coming up with a bunch of cool projects. And just to keep your heads up, it's going to be probably a fair bit of TIG welding projects through the winter, and maybe a little bit of body work. I do have this, which is essentially just a TIG welding project. Maybe I'll show you right now. So this is the manifold. Now, again, do not judge my killer welds, because this is what I'm learning on. So I don't know how to TIG weld, and you know, I'm assuming 90% of people watching my channel don't know how to TIG weld. And if you do, hey man, shoot me some pointers, because I don't know what I'm doing. But I just wanted to glue gun metal to other metal. And the main benefit for a TIG welder for me is aluminum, because I felt restricted. Couldn't do anything with aluminum. So let's move on over to the TIG welder. I'm going to show you my new TIG welder, and I'm going to do a sweet review on it. Super basic backyard review, kind of like this is how you set it up so you can melt metal to metal. So let's do that. So TIG welder I'm reviewing today is the Power Tig 200DV. It is an Everlast welder. I would consider this a beginner's welder. It's nothing fancy. It ain't no Miller. I ain't no rich guy. So I like these ones because relatively cheap. I think this thing out the door with some accessories was about 1,600 bucks Canadian. So American, that's pretty much free. They do give you a nice little pamphlet to go with it. Again, if you have no idea on how to TIG weld or has never TIG welded before, this welder is ideal, but you still kind of have to know what you're doing, or maybe just ask people like what I did, or just keep watching and I'll show you the easy way of setting this thing up. So here she be, in all her glory and all her greenness, because the green is aggressive but looks really killer. Yeah. So obviously my my cart is not big enough. Something to keep in mind, these machines are pretty big. They're not small, and I just have a normal cart, so I ended up just, you know, ratchet strapping her on there because, well, it's a lot of money sitting on a very little amount of money. Okay, so let's get to it. Easy, super easy setup, and again, I'm not going to go in detail on what these things mean exactly, because again, I'm not a professional, so I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to give you the super basic rundown on it. Right off the bat, this welder ain't quiet. Don't expect it to be quiet. Fan runs all the time. It's like cool down all the time. Ain't no Miller, you know? Miller, you gotta like work her and then the fan turns on. Regardless, that's kind of a good thing anyways, to have the fan running all the time. It's just a little loud. So let's go through the settings. All right, first setting. This is your amperage. So this is kind of like, you want to again dumb it down. This is your heat. People are going to be like, man, filler rod is your heat and blah, 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 blah. Yes, they are right, but we're breaking it right down here. This is your heat, all right? Red knob is your heat. Things to ignore. This is your stick, all right? See this here? That's for stick welding. Stick welding only. I set it to 0. It just makes me feel good. You can set it to wherever you want. It doesn't matter unless you're in stick mode. All right, next thing. This is set up at this point in time to weld stainless pipe. So, for example, stainless exhaust piping, say 3-inch, doesn't really matter the thickness. 100 amps will pretty much, it'll melt right through any stainless that is a pipe. Okay, nothing like crazy thick or anything, but regardless, set this to about 100. This is your max. Remember that. On the pedal, this is your max. Next thing, you want dolly ass welds. Set your pre-flow quite low. I'm gonna turn the machine off here one sec. And then we'll go through it again. It's a little loud, it's a little loud. I'm also not gonna show you how to hook up everything because you can probably figure it out. Anyways, so I'm not going to tell you how to hook these up either. Like your negative is actually positive and your whip goes to negative, okay? And then this goes to your gas. So this is your gas. And this goes to either your trigger or your pedal. Done. The main thing for me, it was very confusing on this. You look at it, you're like, man, that's a lot of colors, a lot of knobs. So I ended up calling the guy at Everlast and I'm like, hey man, what's a good setting to just start melting metal to metal? So I'll continue on. This is your heat / amperage. This is your, so T or 2T and 4T. So that's your pedal. Downslope, I set that right to 12. So your pre-flow, which is the gas coming out of your whip, it'll flow for X amount of seconds before it starts the arc. Keep her light nice and low, right nice and low. I went to the first tick. We don't know what the ticks mean, but I went to the first tick. I'm assuming that's 5. You can do some math and divide it. I went to the first tick. I wanted to fire pretty much right away. You set it up to 5, you're gonna think the thing's broken, because I thought it was broken. Because she won't ever fire. You're sitting there for 5 freaking seconds. It's like crazy. Anyways, set her down to the first tick. Next, post flow. Man, if you want to crank her all the way up to like past 12 for your post flow, good on ya. It's expensive, use a lot of gas, but your welds are gonna look dolly. They're gonna be shiny welds, okay? I like to keep her right about there. So nice amount of post flow. If I'm doing something that's real hot, you want more post flow. So the trick with post flow, if it's glowing, there's gotta be gas on it, otherwise she ain't gonna look pretty. But in reality, it doesn't matter. You know, if you want to save some money and you don't care what it looks like, turn her down. I like to keep her right about there. All right, so your pulse frequency. I don't know, again, you could probably figure out the math. I went to second tick, so it's a little bit more. Again, you can look this up by yourself if you really want to get in depth with this. I'm just going to show you how to set it and start welding. You can get more educated later. So your pulse amperage, I set it again right, what would that be? About, say 25%, I'm going to say. That's kind of a good start for that. And then your pulse time on, I set that to, I set it to the 80, which I know the 80 is on the other side, but it's, what would that be, 10%, somewhere in between 10 and 25%. Kind of a good magic number. It's not really too critical. I mean, it probably is. So that's all you need to do to weld steel or stainless steel or mild steel, or heck, if you want to weld cast iron, you might want to turn your amperage up, but all that type of stuff, these are your knob settings for that. So obviously you're going to want your pulse off, so that'll be lit up as off. And then you want it to pedal if you're using the pedal. In these settings, I would not use the whip, and I'll show you if you want to use the whip. I'll show you in a second. And you're going to want to set to DC. So DC is all of these controls here. So these are your DC controls. And then you're going to want to set it obviously to TIG. Start. What do I have this thing? It doesn't matter. What do I have it set to? Let me see here. I can't remember what I have it set to. There you go. So I have it set to HF Start TIG. Okay, so that is how to weld stainless. So you can ignore this one, this one, this one. Don't even worry about that if you're welding stainless. Just ignore those. Those do nothing, okay? Absolutely nothing. These are the ones you want to focus on. Once you have these set, you don't even ignore those. Just set, you're done, okay? So all you have to do is worry about pre-flow, post-flow, and all your amperage and frequency settings and your yada yadas. So that's a super easy melt metal to melt metal setting with the pedal. Now, if you want to use just the trigger, what I would recommend is setting a pulse. So the only difference in your setup would be to go high frequency pulse. The only reason I recommend that, because if you don't have it on high frequency pulse and you click that button off, like click on the whip, she's just gonna melt through whatever. It's just gonna melt it like nothing. It'll just turn everything into molten magma. So if you add the pulse, it'll actually weld. It's like cools it down. I don't know, keeps the temps cooled. I don't know exactly why that works, but that's how I do it, and that works for me. All right, and the only other setting to this that I'd worry about is these two, which is your AC. So think of AC is always your aluminum. Now people are gonna argue, blah, 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 I don't care. AC is always your aluminum. You don't weld in DC, it's stupid. So AC is always aluminum. And now I have my AC frequency in hertz set to, I think it's set to about 90. I thought it was like 90, 95. And then your clean effect, which is your positive negative, I have it set to 40. Okay, obviously you could probably set it to 50. It would probably work just fine. But I have it set to 40. So those are my settings. AC, aluminum. DC, stainless steel. And that's pretty much all there's to it. I haven't even tried the stick because I just don't care that much. And again, setting it to about 100 is a great setting for stainless, but for aluminum, say if you're welding something a little thicker, set to about 140-ish, something like that. You're gonna need a little bit more. So that's kind of a quick rundown on it. Obviously, there's tons of reviews on these welders, but I didn't see any reviews on the 200DV. So the 200DV has the knobs, okay? The other ones are all fancy and you click a button and it tells you an exact number. So that's my review on that. This welder, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, it works really well. Keep your tungsten clean, get a good ground, keep your material clean, and you're gonna have a good time. So there's my review on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something from it. You know, comment, say I'm stupid, say I'm an idiot for setting it to those settings. I don't care. You know, I need to learn too. Like if you show me some settings that are better, show me how to do it better. I'm into that. So anyways, I got a lot of other projects coming up. I'm gonna finish this thing up. I'll show you guys that thing running and we'll get to a lot more fun. Maybe not as much racing and stuff like that, but that's for next summer. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.